Travis Wayne Goodsell. Here we go. Here's the day, Mormons. Sign I saw. The mists of darkness were covering it up, but I could still see it. The sign. And so, yeah, the courts will be receiving my submissions that I did over the weekend. And I'm going to read to you in this video again, because the video that I read it in originally was an hour and 9 minutes long, but we did have a good number of people, surprisingly, watch it. But I don't know if they got as far as the closing remarks. And so I hope people caught on that if I'm giving opening remarks, that I'm going to be giving closing remarks, and that they stayed the whole video. But I'll reread them for you here. So yeah, you got to stick through this opening part first. I had to go into the video and add the playlist of reading the lawsuit, because I realized after I had turned off my computer last night and went to bed that I forgot to do that, and I didn't want to get up and turn it back on and go through all the hassle, so I just now did it. As I also realized from the news segments that popped up on my YouTube screen, all hell broke loose over the weekend. I mean, I'm telling you guys, this is martial law for the Second Civil War. And I will get to Joseph Smith after I talk about Angelina. There was a subscriber, Joseph, who apparently was inspired to pursue his own legal case against the church after my 1 hour 9 minute reading. So good luck. I'm expecting this to end today. I'm expecting the church to be destroyed today. But again, Judge Oberg has already exhibited that she has betrayed America as a traitor and is siding with the church. I will read the opening and closing statements. But if by chance I do fail, and if by chance we are allowed to continue to exist, even though it will be rendering us into absolute despotism, beyond the absolute despotism that we're already in. Now, if you don't understand that terminology, you've not been reading your Declaration of Independence. I mean, guys, this is martial law that has been established across America. This is the Second Civil War. We fought the Revolutionary War with the Declaration of Independence. That's what this war is about now. Freedom. It starts with Black Lives Matter. But it's for all. It's for women who've been protesting. Not just with the Me Too movement, but the women's protest every year right around the time of the inauguration date, since Trump took office. It is also a protest for LGBT. It is also a protest for all the poor. And all minorities, DACA recipients. This is for all the marbles, people. Change must occur, or this is all for naught. Because they will suppress us. We will go back into slavery. And this will all have been wasted. The reverse psychology of the police at the end of last week. It's clear nobody fell for it. Good for you. Because that's what it was. Because notice, those police chiefs and those police officers who took a knee, did they leave? Did they go back to their police station? Did they say, hey, we're not going to do this to our neighbors? Nope. They're still in the streets declaring martial law with curfews. They still got their batons. They still got their shields. They still enforce the curfews. Which means they don't mean what they mean when they claim they're taking a knee. They are frauds. They're using reverse psychology to fool you into silencing you, sending you home. And over the weekend, you guys didn't fall for it. Excellent. So, yeah, Joseph also commented about his family religious conditions. So, yeah, good to hear from Joseph. Now we get to Angelina. She's not a subscriber. She has a very cute, very young profile picture. And she's not being mean or abusive on her comment. She does use the wrong word. It's said by Joseph, not made by Joseph. And so, said by Joseph Smith was that a terrible revolution will take place in the land of America, such as never been seen before, for the land will be literally left without a supreme government, and every species of wickedness will run rampant. Father will be against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother. The most terrible scenes of murder and bloodshed and rapine that have ever been looked upon. It would have been nice of you to have put the actual quote from where that comes from, rather than having memorized it and trying to regurgitate it as having been said by Joseph. If you guys have been paying attention, I've been quoting from Joseph Smith's speech on 19 July 1840. In that speech, he declares that we are not coming back to a Zion in Missouri. I've been raised and taught to believe that. I did the video that's over 25,000 views, probably over 26,000 views by now. I had a guy come on to that old channel on that old video and say, "You're wrong." Yeah, he was banned, but still, I mean, he does not see what's going on around him. Are you sure you want to claim that I'm wrong? But I mean, yeah, we were fooled by the church yet again in thinking that Mormons have to believe that either this Utah is the Zion, and that we won't be moving anywhere else or fleeing to Zion, that this is it, it's here, everything's fine, all is well, go home. Or flee to Missouri. It's not Missouri either, because Joseph Smith says it in that 19 July 1840. And that's all you have to do is Google search Joseph Smith speech 19 July 1840, and it should pop up for you. You want to look for the Joseph Smith Papers version. There's a BYU dialogue or something like that has a Mormon trying to explain it away, but then he does quote it. Yeah, go to the Joseph Smith Papers. Don't read what those knuckleheads, this Klingon Skousen son, is trying to mess and tamper with. Don't listen to them. Go to the source. Read it for yourself. Don't trust what they're trying to tell you about it. And so, yeah, Joseph Smith says it's not Missouri that we're going to, it's Illinois. And if you know Illinois, it's long, north and south long, vertical. And so Nauvoo is in the north. And he says we're going to build the mountain cities. So he's already told us what the design of the cities are supposed to be. Mountains. And pyramids. I've already known this before I knew about his talk. That, of course, Brigham Young refused to put in the Doctrine and Covenants. And so he says the mountain cities of Zion and New Jerusalem in Illinois. Well, if Nauvoo, because he says also Nauvoo will become a great city too. Where are these mountain cities going to be placed? If Nauvoo already exists in the north? South. And we all know what the southern Illinois is significant for, especially when we come upon 8 April 2024. Have you guys forgotten already? They've been telling us when the next one would come after the 21 August 2017 event. Yep. And again, if you don't know the real LDS history, you're not going to know. That's because the Smiths were in the York Rites Lodge, not the Scottish Rites Lodge of the inverted pentagram. And the highest rank in the York Rites is the Knights Templar. So now you have to go back and watch your Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade to cram in the knowledge of the Knights Templar. And of course it's a Hollywood movie which puts in added information, but there is a basis of truth for it. And so, yeah, it doesn't provide, it's not the fountain of youth, I'll give you that much. But the Knights Templar being the holders and protectors of the Holy Grail, the bloodline, if you saw Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code, and even Angels and Demons, though it was more Da Vinci Code that got involved with it. Purpose, will help you understand, since you don't know where to go to find out other information about it. So, since our culture is designed to learn from movies, those are the two I recommend to learn about it at the first level. Alright, so so who are we looking for? We're looking for the Christ. Now, Mormons have been fooled into thinking that they're Christian, and as a result, Mormons believe that Jesus Christ is going to come from outer space, but not as the Trinity God, but rather as their three separate individual God. Mormons, you can't create doctrine. You can't create scripture. It's not your place. And yet, that's what Mormons do. And so, who are we looking for? Because if you don't know, the Jews are not looking for the Jesus of the Gospels, Mormons. And you can't just say, well, the Jews were wrong then. Because it's not the way I believe. Jews are older than Christians. Jews are older than Mormons. They've got a little bit better grasp of this, since they and their book were the prophecies for this. Jeremiah, in 2 locations, one of them I know offhand as chapter 23. In there it says that there will be a man like Moses who will come and save the Jews and the house of Israel. Now, this is not a situation that is up for debate. Did Jesus of the Gospels save the Jews? No. That's why the Jews don't believe in Jesus of the Gospels. Yes, I know they're Jews for Jesus, but Jesus didn't save the Jews. The Jews already have a God. They don't need another God. Remember, they're commanded to only have one God. So they're not looking for another God. The Christ, which they call the Messiah, is a man, like Cyrus, king of Persia, who said, "The Jews can now go home to Jerusalem. You are sort of free. You still have to give tribute to me, but you can go back to your homeland and build your temple and develop a land so that you can provide tribute for me." That's who they're looking for symbolically, is a man who becomes the king of the world, because that's who the king of Persia became, was the king of the world at that time. And he will save the Jews. That's who they're looking for. That's who Jeremiah prophesied of. And so, yes, the Jews saw the fulfillment of Jeremiah with Cyrus. But yet, the Jews, again, can go into that cycle of enslavement and captivity. And again, they refer to their Tanakh, their Bible, for the hope of being freed again by a Messiah who will be the king of the world to set them free and to save the house of Israel as well. So they know he's a Gentile. He's not a Jew. And so what then is the Mormon true doctrine regarding this? And I've gone over it with you. The Jeremiah prophecy of a man like Moses comes from section 103 of the Doctrine and Covenants. Verse 15 is where I'll start again, because I keep repeating this for you. "Behold, I say unto you, the redemption of Zion." And where did I tell you that Joseph Smith said that the city, the mountain city of Zion and New Jerusalem would be? Southern Illinois. "Must needs come by power. Therefore I will raise up unto my people a man who shall lead them like as Moses led the children of Israel." There it is. Joseph Smith took the prophecy from Jeremiah and expanded upon it for our latter days. Remember, we're Latter-day Saints. And Joseph Smith is saying, "I will raise up a Mormon who will lead the Mormons like as Moses. He will save the Jews. He will be the king of the world and save the house of Israel. He will be a Gentile, not a Jew. He will be Mormon." And Moses, what did he do to free the house of Israel? He had to go up against Pharaoh, because Pharaoh was corrupt. Pharaoh is a theocracy, a composite of both government and religion. And they both together in one Pharaoh were corrupt. We do not have this today. They are separated. They are not a trinity. They are separate beings, separate entities, separate organizations. The government and the religion. Joseph Smith says out of his Mormon religion will come this person who will restore the kingdom of David. David being another symbol of this latter-day Christ, anointed one, man. And yes, it means that the church must be fallen. The fallen star of Lucifer must be corrupt. Isaiah 14:12. How art thou fallen, O Lucifer? And so, yes, a Mormon will rise up and restore the kingdom of David, just like Moses. And there are other prophecies about his birthplace, his birth date, where he moves throughout this particular nation in the future. And it's America. And so, yes, Trump is the king part of it. Nelson is the religious part of it. The first total solar eclipse occurred on President Monson's birthday. The first sign of the tail of the dragon, star sign of Revelation chapter 12 of John, occurred on Monson's death at 10:01 p.m. And what was it, Friday? Yeah, Friday. I went over the other signs of the tail of the dragon that morning, as I was out running and such. And so here we are, another sign today. I've already done a video for it. And, man, it's already too long. I'll do a separate reading. So I'm sorry I led you on. But I'm going to tell you more about the prophecy first, before I then read to you from my lawsuit of the opening and closing statement, because it's better that I do the two videos, I think. We're going to have, depending on the way I word the titles, will depend on where you go. And so this is the Moses version of Joseph Smith. Joseph also gives a Samson version. You know Samson, don't you, Mormons? You don't? He's the one that gets involved with Delilah, and as I did the video, it's not Delilah that... No, it is... I was corrected in the video as I went over it in greater detail, finally. And so, yeah, you'll have to watch the video. It was a trilogy video. It's got its own playlist. The playlist was supposed to be involving all of the prophecies, and it just ended up being Samson so far. Alrighty. So, yeah, we're done with this one. Let's go to 85. 85 verse 7, Mormons. And it shall come to pass that I, the Lord, will send one mighty and strong, scepter of power, government, set in order the house of God, religion. And it's the same person, but this time it's one mighty and strong, which refers to Samson. Because when I went over that video, oh, look at that, mighty and strong. Wonder where that comes from. Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, that's the story of Samson. And so we now know the story of Samson also is a symbol story about the last days Christ. And Joseph Smith says he's Mormon. And so when you go through that, I explain to you how the Mormon comes out of that. Judah, Utah. Because it's not Judah, it's Yehuda, or Yudah, Utah. He kills the lion, and a beehive gets formed in its carcass. What's a Temple Square, Mormons? Because he's going to a wedding feast of this little haughty Philistine chick. That's right. Beehive House and Lion House. Lion House is where you have your wedding feast if you go to the Salt Lake Temple to be married. And possibly get married in room 13 of the Salt Lake Temple, where the inverted pentagram is the keystone at the door of the temple. That's what I was going to lead into with the readings. Should I still do it here? Should I tease you? Do we have time? Are you going to stick around? Let's do this. It still should be at the top listing on my Word program. That's the order. There we go. Amended motion. Come on, go away. Alrighty. So I don't understand why the judge was complaining about this, that, and the other thing. Alright, opening remarks. Here we go. We're putting it in here at after 26 minutes. The plaintiff was born and raised for 50 years in the defendant's organization, being led to believe that Joseph Smith Jr. was the founder. The scripture, called the Book of Mormon, of the founding organization, goes into great detail to describe the Church of Satan, the devil called Lucifer, which is an organization that commits crimes. Lucifer is known as the falling star from Isaiah 14:12, which is copied in the Book of Mormon and 2 Nephi 24:12. The founding organization has a whole theology about Lucifer in heaven and on earth, which is unique from all other modern religions. Notice I said modern? My second marriage was performed at the Salt Lake Temple in room number 13, and we had our pictures taken at the traditional spot at the original doors of the temple, from the picture that I will provide as evidence, which would also be submitted as evidence in an evidentiary hearing. There is the universally known symbol of the falling star of Lucifer, the inverted pentagram, at the arch of the door to the temple. Archstones are known as keystones. The Book of Mormon is taught to us Mormons as being the keystone of our religion. To take a keystone out would collapse and crumble the whole arch. And what I witnessed that fateful day on 1 October 2015 was a Mormon's worst nightmare. The title of the defendant's organization is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and yet symbolically portrayed by the architect, Truman O. Engel, the brother-in-law to Brigham Young, and commissioned by Brigham on 26 January 1850, was the Temple of Lucifer of the inverted pentagram, as the keystone where I got married in the church I was born and raised in. All Satanists or followers of Lucifer know the meaning of the Salt Lake Temple symbolism, even if they are unaware of the defendant's Salt Lake Temple has these signs. That the defendant's Salt Lake Temple has these signs. Mormon ignorance of the sign's meaning does not dismiss its meaning. Now the closing statement. Joseph Smith Jr. spoke of a day to come when the Constitution would need to be saved. Angelina? I've known about the inverted pentagram street design in Washington, D.C. that points to the White House, symbolizing that Lucifer controls the United States government. The streets of D.C. were commissioned in 1872, almost 100 years after our nation's Declaration of Independence from the British monarchy of King George. So when I discovered that not only is there an inverted pentagram of Lucifer as the keystone of the Salt Lake Temple, but also portrayed in the Seagull Gate on the State Street at Temple Square. The horror rose up in me. The plaintiff is not from Utah. The plaintiff moved to Utah in August 1996. Submitted herein as evidence, which would have also be presented as evidence in the evidentiary hearing, is a photo of the Seagull Gate. The Seagull Gate was sculpted by Brigham Young's grandson, Mahanrai Moriankamer Young, and dedicated on 1 October 1913. The scavenger bird of the seagull is the capstone on top of the beehive symbol of industry, with the foundation stone as the inverted pentagram of Lucifer, which points to the state capitol building, as the inverted pentagram streets of D.C. point to the White House. The Book of Mormon tells of the Lamanites who were scavengers, who in the end conquered and enslaved the industrious Nephites. There on the Seagull Gate is portrayed that same symbolism. The Edmunds-Tucker Act disincorporated Brigham's organization for their crimes. In 1978, the Edmunds-Tucker Act was repealed. The same year, the reincorporated organization of the defendant allowed blacks the Melchizedek priesthood, which grants marriages in their temples for an afterlife glorification. In place of the Edmunds-Tucker Act is the RICO Act, which is designed to disincorporate criminal organizations. The defense counsel and the defendant's agents working in this courthouse have been caught committing crimes to protect the defendant from the inevitable conclusion of punishment for guilt. Your Honor has specifically chosen to replace Judge First, hired on the condition that you do the defendant a favor, though, if you want to keep your new job, by shutting down and denying the plaintiff's case. Your Honor has been demonstrating bias in favor of the defendant, as Your Honor was a federal defense counselor, and are making errors in judgment by thinking as a federal defense counselor. In this, Your Honor's first case as a magistrate judge. Judge First chose to preserve her life after being fired for allowing another case against the defendant to proceed, over her duty and oath of the office to the United States Constitution and the rules and laws of the United States. Now Your Honor is placed in this historical moment to choose for or against preserving the United States Constitution and the rules and laws of the United States, or to commit treason by protecting an organization that seeks to destroy, enslave, and conquer the United States of America, as symbolized with the inverted pentagram of Lucifer. All Satanists or followers of Lucifer know the meaning of the Seagull Gate symbolism, even if they are unaware that the defendant's Seagull Gate has these signs. Mormon and citizen ignorance of the sign's meaning does not dismiss its meaning. So there you go. I don't know how much more I can inform you guys, because if you can't figure this out yet, if you Mormons cannot say, you know what, he's right, we got chumped, and leave, rather than continuing to stay in bondage, and say, oh, you know, I grew up and I have nothing else to go to now, I don't know what to do. That's the wrong attitude. If by chance you have a bad attitude, do not let it stay. Quickly make it worse and let sarcasm rule the day. Works for me. So, there you go.